All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, from the studios of the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And we're also coming to you around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and in Ontario on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, and streaming on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour is Ella LeBain, and we're going to be talking to Ella about disclosure of the alien presence, extraterrestrials, God, angels, Nibiru, signs in the heavens, while connecting the dots to the end-time prophecies. Her website, who's who in the cosmiczoo.com. And let me see, Ella is joining us from Westminster, Colorado tonight. So, Ella, welcome back to the X-Zone.
Oh, hi, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. I understand that you've had experiences from a very young age.
It started when I was 2, and so it's just been a long life journey to get to the truth about what was going on. And I'm a retired paralegal, so I've applied my skill set to becoming a researcher into what's behind UFOs and who is the alien presence.
What is the truth, in your opinion, based on the research that you've done? Who is behind the UFO presence?
Well, we are not alone here on planet Earth, and it's my understanding, based on not only recent events in my lifetime. I was born in the 60s, so that tells you how old I am, but also ancient history, that we've never been alone on this planet. And it's my opinion that the majority of unidentified aerial phenomenon, unidentified flying objects, yes, there's a portion of them that belongs to us and other nations on the world, but the stuff that they don't know about actually comes from inside our planet. And there are breakaway civilizations that coexist with us here on Earth, and they are the reasons why people have been having experiences all the way till we can go back in our history. It's recorded in the Bible, medieval times, Renaissance, etc.
So are we talking about an inner world theory here?
Well, you mean like a hollow Earth theory? Yes, I mean, so to speak. I think that the Earth is caverned out. Like, I don't think it's just like a big hole in the middle. I think that there's lots of big, huge caverns, and then there's breakaway civilizations. There's different dimensions, and that they're living inside the planet in different dimensions. And I have discerned, delineated, differentiated all these different beings from the past, and connected the dots with experiencers, testimonies, and witness reports. pieced it all together in my first book, Who's Who in the Cosmic Zoo, and how these where they are coming out of different parts of the earth. There's portals, there's places that are repeatedly where people have experiences, or where they see stuff in the air, or where they see beings and then they disappear. So I've actually listed them in my book, locations on the surface of the planet. And these are openings to where you can go in, where they come and go, and as well as, and not just beings, as well as spacecraft. And the big story these days is the USOs, the underwater submerged objects. And I saw one in 1995 off the Gulf of Mexico on Indian Rocks Beach right after sunset. I thought it was a pod of dolphins at first. I was just sitting on the beach, just hanging out, heard a lot of rumbling. Then I realized it wasn't dolphins. I thought, well, it couldn't be a whale. And then I started to see metallics. And I thought, wait a second, they don't have submarines on this area of the Gulf. And then all of a sudden it just emerged out of the ocean with the water and the foam coming off of it. And it was a silver disc-shaped ship, okay, classic looking UFO, probably the size of a football field. It was huge. And it just hovered for about a minute until all the water and the foam came off, and then it just shot up into the sky like in a New York second.
Wow.
And I watched it like become a star, because the stars were out. I mean, it was after sunset. And there were lights on the beach. I wasn't the only one who saw it. That night, MUFON received like 350 calls from people all along the Gulf and the beaches there that saw it from like a different perspective. So that's really what got me down these rabbit holes.
So where do the hollow earth theory I've heard for many of years, and it seems to me that science has irrefutable proof that the world is not hollow.
I don't know which science are you listening to, because there's so many different perspectives on it. And I, like, I wouldn't say it's hollow, like, like empty, like the inside of an egg when you let all the stuff go out and then it's just an empty shell. That's kind of a misnomer. I think that there's several different layers and dimensions, and it's not all physical. So if you look at the Earth as a multidimensional planet, you can it's easier to understand this, if that makes sense. And one of the things that I love to do is connect dots, because when you connect dots, it creates understanding, and then you can see the bigger picture. Just like when we were kids and we played that game, connecting dots, you don't see the picture until you go across the page and then down the page and then up the page, and then all of a sudden the picture shows up. So one of the things that I connect in my books is the ancient records, like for instance the books of Enoch, and it's recorded that he was shown 10 heavens. So if you interchange the word heavens to dimensions, okay, just hold on to that for a minute.
Yep.
And then you have Michio Kaku, who came out about a decade ago and said that the Earth has 11 dimensions, and that includes the one that you and I are speaking on, the surface, the third dimensional reality that we live in. So if you add that to what Enoch said was 10, I mean, that's pretty close. And that doesn't mean that it's all happening outside of us, because even Henry David Thoreau said, heaven is above us as well as under our feet. So what did he mean by that? So I went into the Bible and I started pulling all these scriptures about heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Where is heaven? And it's one of the things that is really talked about a lot, especially Jesus talked about the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God. And the ancient Hebrew reveals that there are different dimensions to hell and different dimensions to heaven, and they're inside the earth. So in my second book, Who is God, I pretty much list them and and explain them. And there's a lot happening under our feet. So there's different levels of hell even on earth, on the surface of the earth. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some people are living through it right now,
Yep.
alive. And then there's stuff that's happening inside the earth, and it's not all the same. It's not like black and white. There's levels and different dimensions, so that if you put all that together, and then you have what the records say about what the ancients did in the past, that whenever there was cataclysms on the surface of the planet, whether there were floods or fires or pole shifts, they went inside, they hid inside the earth, they went into caves, and there's records of this all over the planet. So and it makes sense that if you couldn't live on the surface, where would you go to survive? You would go inside. So it's my belief and understanding, and this is something that I prove through connecting these dots to the history and to today's eyewitness testimonies, is that there's several of them, breakaway civilizations that went inside the earth. And like there were two major floods. We all talk about the Great Deluge, which was called the floods of Noah in the book of Genesis. But then one thing that a lot of people miss is that the Bible starts off when the waters of the earth, or everything is just water, and it says, and the spirit hovered over the water, and then the Elohim, which is plural for gods with an S, recreated civilization again. So I connect those dots to the ancient civilization of Atlantis, taking Plato's account about the first flood.
Right.
So there were two floods. And so if you put it all together, you can see, well, there's been, records of extraterrestrial alien activity coming and going all throughout our timeline. And, this is another piece that, when people think of like space travel, and it's like, oh, couldn't go to Venus, everybody thinks of, oh, it's too hot to live on Venus. Well, most of these planets, okay, are like spacecraft. They're protective layers, and most of this is, according to witnesses and other people and
All right,
testimony,
you and I
is
are going
that
to you and I are
it's
going to have to
ins-
you and I are going to have to hold it here because I do have to take my break. So please stand by. Exonation, Ella LeBain is our special guest this hour. Her website is who's who in the cosmiczoo.com. And we'll be back on the other side of the short break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Myself, why should I work so hard? Sit and dream about the days to come. Half dressed, just soaking up the sun. Sitting here, I hope I don't get fried.
And welcome back, everyone. That's Lighthouse with Sunny Days here on the X-Zone Radio Show with yours truly, Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, and throughout the province of Ontario on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJAM Classic, who streams us at classic1220.ca. LeBain is our special guest, and her website is who's who in the cosmiczoo.com. All right, Elle, I'm sorry we had to take that break there, but you were telling us about two floods, not one flood.
Yes, that's what's recorded in the Bible. The Bible isn't just a religious book; it's a historical account, as well as a historical account of extraterrestrial visitation, intervention, cosmic wars. And the point that I was making at the end of your last segment was that most planets are inhabited from within. And that's because the surface of planets are dangerous because, of cosmic and gamma rays and solar rays. And like our planet right now is going through a lot of changes because of what's happening on our sun. And this isn't the first time that we've gone through this. It's cyclical. But every so often, this other system that is our neighboring system, I call it the Nemesis Nibiru system, intersects in our solar system. So back in the 50s, Immanuel Velikovsky wrote a book called Worlds in Collision, and he was like pen pals with Albert Einstein, and there was a lot of things that he wrote in that book that 50 years later got confirmed through NASA technology. So suffice to say that that our planet has had cataclysms in the past, and it's because of the passing of this other system that intersects and kind of, causes earth changes and pole shifts. So the floods that happened in the past, the floods of Atlantis, the floods of Noah, the records show that beings, of course, a lot of people died and some people just took off, on spaceships and left, but others went inside the planet to survive. And we have evidence of a lot of this stuff. I mean, it's a connecting the dot thing. You have to kind of piece it together, which is something I've done in my book. So, people could read about it and form their own opinion.
Let's get to the evidence. You said you found the evidence by connecting the dots. Now, what kind of evidence is it? Is it theoretical evidence or is it physical evidence?
Scriptural, historical records. Okay, so I pull in all of the ancient scripts, not just the ones that the Church of Rome approved, in their what they consider the Bible canon. I mean, there's 100 Jewish books, scripts, scrolls that were rejected from the original Bible canon, and I unpack a lot of those because they're relevant right now. And I also tell people why they got rejected, because there were agendas that the Church of Rome were, politically involved in, and they didn't want people to know about certain stuff.
Now, let's just go bit by bit here, because you're giving the listeners a lot to think about it in a short period of time. So we need to just kind of stop when we get certain bites that we can unpack. For example,
sure.
I believe you're talking about the Council of Nicaea when you're talking about the editing of the Bible.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Okay.
It really starts with Constantine's Creed.
Oh, okay.
Which
Hold
was
on here.
Before...
Hold on here.
Yeah.
All right. Now, you say that there was an agenda on why a lot of the Jewish scrolls were not allowed to be into the Bible. What was that? What was the reasoning behind it?
Well, all you got to do is read Constantine's Creed, and it's right there. It's called Replacement Theology, which
Hmm.
was the official church doctrines of anti-Semitism. Essentially, they were waging war on the God of Israel. They didn't want anything, they didn't want any Jewish holidays. They wanted to change the Sabbath. They oppressed Israel. They oppressed Jews, and they basically, cherry picked what they wanted and left the rest behind. They also didn't want people to believe in reincarnation, because they wanted everyone to get in line and think and believe that you have one life to live and you better get it right, otherwise you're going to hell.
Hmm.
Um, so, I prove all this is absolutely false. It's not true, based
Okay,
on scripture.
how do you prove it?
Um, a lot of different ways. You'll just have to look at my books, mainly scripture, but also, like I said, exo-biblical books, the ones
Okay,
that were rejected. Um, there is a lot of answers there. Like, I'll give you an
sure.
example. My third book, Who Are the Angels? So I go into like who are the heavens angels and who are the fallen angels, just to help people to discern and differentiate between the two. So in the scriptures, there's a lot of information about them. And the books of Enoch basically tell us, and they name them. There's 200 of them that they call them the B'nai Ha-Elohim, the fallen sons of heaven, which were also called fallen angels. And they came to earth and they did all this stuff, and they were in a rebellion with the creator God. So it says in all these different scriptures in the books of Enoch, which were rejected from the Roman canon, that the prophecies, the prophecies of the Messiah, the first coming, and the prophecies of the second, and the prophecies of the end times, which is what we're living in now,
Hmm.
and what was going to happen to the planet and to people and the angels. So what I did in that book is I basically pulled the scriptures out of the relevant ones out of the book of Enoch, and then I compared them in a chart, with a line going on, to the words of Jesus Christ, like what he said. So, like, they call it red letter Bibles, where they just highlight his words.
Yep.
And he literally, and I proved this, him as well as his disciples quoted verbatim right out of the books of Enoch. Okay, so seeing is believing when you see this for yourself and you go, oh, wow. I
Hmm.
mean, it almost looks like, it wasn't really like plagiarized, but it was because they believed, okay, Yeshua, Jesus, was Jewish, so were the disciples, and they followed these Jewish scripts. So that's why they quoted out of them. That's why they spoke out of them. And that's why he was the first one, Enoch was the first one to actually coin the phrase Son of Man and Son of God. And we know that that's a common term used in the New Testament. So that's just an example. There's a bunch of other ones as well.
How long did it take you to do all this research? It's amazing.
Well, it's just I've been working on it for a few decades. I started in the 90s.
Hmm.
In fact, the book I started in the 90s, I literally just released in September.
Wow.
Yeah, Heaven's Witness, it's called. It's my sixth book. Talk about connecting dots. It's about the constellations, which is, you connect dots and you make the pictures, and it's called the Mazarot, which is Hebrew for constellations and stars. And, so it's taken me, I shelved it a few times because I focused on the alien presence. But then I realized that this whole story was written into the very stars themselves before it actually came into writing on Earth. So that's the big connection there. And also time. I go into time and how they've manipulated the calendars, our calendars, multiple calendars all over the world for the past, several thousand years. We've had lots of different calendar changes. And my opinion and what I'm proving is because Nibiru changes time. So every time Nibiru comes around, it shifts the planet, and they have to stop counting, and they have to start counting in a different way. And so anyway, I just prove all this with the Babylonian, the Jewish calendar, the Gregorian, which is the
Hmm.
Roman calendar, which has absolutely no astronomical sense whatsoever. Um, and how they've just been manipulating things, and as if that's not enough, how they've changed the timeline itself. So that's all in my recent book.
So, what do you think the difference between the Bible as we know it today would be if the events that happened in biblical times happen today with our knowledge of science, our knowledge of physics, our science, our, everything we know now? How different do you think the Bible would be?
Well, it's a good question. You know, I mean, who's to say that the people in the past didn't
Hmm.
have understanding of certain scientific terms like physics, for instance? Um, the Hebrew language itself is a language of physics, and every one of those letters, 22 letters, are shapes of the 22 major constellations. So somebody knew about science back then. And I start off my book series with Science is the Mind of God.
I like
So
that.
the more people investigate
Hmm.
and go down the rabbit holes of science, the closer they will understand the mind of the creator.
You know,
And I find it interesting that back in the past, during Renaissance times, all the scientists were, men of faith,
yeah.
and they believed in God for their conclusions to their experiments. And I also find it interesting that today's, like, for instance, Michio Kaku, he started out not a believer, and now he is a believer. Like, he was the one who kind of coined the phrase the God particle, and basically saying science shows that there's an intelligence out there.
All right. I hate to
So
do this to you again, but I've got these hard
that's
breaks
okay.
I just have to take. And Exonation, if you'd like to find out more about our guest, visit her website, www.who'swhointhecosmiczoo.com. Her name is Ella LeBain, and Ella and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Sitting stoned alone in my backyard, asking myself, why should I work so hard? Sitting dreaming about the days to come, half undressed, just soaking up the sun. Sitting here, I hope I don't get fried. 2 years ago, I almost died. And yet there's nothing better for your soul than lying in the sun and listen to rock and roll.
If you could read my mind, love, what a tale my thoughts could tell. Just like an old-time movie about a ghost from a wishing well, in a castle dark or a fortress strong, with chains upon my feet. You know that ghost is me, and I will never be set free as long as I'm a ghost you can't see. If I could read your...
And that's Gordon Lightfoot, If You Could Read My Mind. And this is the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. My guest this hour is Ella LeBain, and her website is who'swhointhecosmiczoo.com. And I'm sorry I had to cut you off as you and I were chatting in that last segment, so please continue.
Oh, well, no problem, Rob. Well, you asked a question about how people in the past
Hmm.
would look at things scientifically, and I think is a great question. But I think that they did, and that a lot of us maybe don't give them enough credit.
Right.
That there was technology in the past, and then it got lost, and now we have it back. So everything that we have today has already been. And you asked about physical evidence.
Yes.
And yes, there is physical evidence. I have pictures of it. I show it in my presentations, that there is archaeology of stuff like laptops and cell phones and, what looks like computer boards. But they were giant. They were gigantic, not our size. So it proves the story about the giants, that they lived on the planet and they used all this technology, and the story that's evidenced in the Bible as well as Plato, about the floods and where they ended up. A lot of them were wiped out, but not totally. And that's the reason why we have the same problem with them again. Okay, so, history repeats itself, things come full circle, like bell bottoms, wait 29 years, they'll come back into fashion. And, I published this about what's happening in modern day Israel, and how the Israelis were seeing giants literally appear and disappear. And I have a lot of different stories about, UFO crashes, for instance, that just so happened to be like in the same spot where Elijah would come and go in his cave. So I connected that dot, that must be a portal. And I think it was 2021 or 22 or 2019, NASA came out and they basically said, yeah, they've discovered portals opening and closing all around the planet all day long. So this is how the ancients got around. This is how, like, for instance, I published this. There's a story in the Bible about Elijah and Ahab, and how he sent Ahab to Jezreel. It wasn't raining, but then he created some rain and made him go through the mud with his chariot, and he ends up in Jezreel with, all kind of messed up from the mud and the rain. And it says Elijah was there well before him, dry as a bone, and it says he ran very, very, very fast. So what that scripture was saying was that he ran through a portal. And this is how we have evidence. And I know this, might trigger people's belief systems, but it's there. I mean, it's been there in the scriptures all along. It's been lost through mistranslations. It's never just like gone away. It's always been there, but people just didn't understand it. And that it says that, that they moved around the planet. I mean, how did Jesus show up in Nashville? How did Jesus show up in India? He went through portals, and those portals are still there. And that's why certain beings just appear and disappear, and why we have these stories that are in the same spot in the ancient land of Israel, according to what happened in the ancient land and what's happening now. They're coming out of the same area. And even Jerusalem itself is an ancient space portal. Zechariah Sitchin wrote about that. So that's why they're fighting over it. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. A lot of this is conjecture. A lot of it is. A lot of it cannot be. You claim that you can prove it by connecting the dots, right? But wait a sec.
Yeah.
All right. But have your theories been peer reviewed by archaeologists, by theologians, by people who can actually give it substance?
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm being interviewed tomorrow by the history professor of the U.S. Naval Academy on this very subject. So I would say yes.
Okay, what's that got to do with credibility of the theories?
Well, there's two words here. There's theories,
yeah,
and there's theorems.
Okay.
So a theory is a conjecture, an opinion, a hypothesis.
Yes.
A theorem is something that has been proven.
Okay.
Okay. So I prove things through history and through linguistics.
Ah. All right.
Okay.
Now,
So,
now
I
in
mean,
in your
that's
research,
just a language
in,
thing
in
sometimes.
your research,
Hmm.
do you also go into the other biblical or religious theological books, philosophical books, to see if other books of other religions, other faiths from other parts of the world all have the same points and same dots that you can connect to bring into your theories?
Yes, I can't claim that I'm an expert
Okay.
in other religious books,
Yeah.
but I do pull other cultures and historical records in, such as the Vedic literature, which is, the foundation of Hinduism
Mm-hmm.
and Buddhism, so absolutely, as well as Islam. But Islam is basically, the Quran is kind of like the Old and the New Testament plagiarized with a twist on it. So it's the same story, just with a different interpretation. And yes, I absolutely discuss all of that, especially in my second book, Who is God? All the religions are in there, as well as the major gods. I mean, I don't go over the million Hindu gods, but the major religions, the gods of all the major religions, I am addressing who they are, why they're not the same. Okay, that's the big discernment,
Mm-hmm.
and why that's important now.
Is it possible that the different gods come from different parts of the universe, and that's why we have so many different religions, so many different gods?
Yes, and also that it goes back to an ancient Sumerian
Mm-hmm.
story of the Anunnaki and the brothers who fought over us and over who controlled this planet and who controlled this realm, and that began the cosmic war, and I don't think we're out of it yet. So, not just coming from different parts
Sure.
of the universe, but from different, that the records show that they've been waging war against the creator God. So
There's no dispute, Ella, that you are going to open up a lot of minds to a lot of possibilities, and I commend you for that. I commend you for your great research that you've done. Where do you think we're going now, Ella? Are we in the end times, and what do the end times really mean?
yes, we are in the end times, and that's a great question. So, eschatology, which is the study of end time prophecy, really began in 1948 when Israel became a state again. And that was something nobody believed could ever happen, but it was in the prophecy. Ezekiel 37. So we're living through Ezekiel 38 right now. And so that's just biblical prophecy. But if you take astrology, so I'm going to just move off of that for now and connect this dot, is that it has to do with the processional ages. So one thing that Jesus said was he was coming back at the end of this age. And he was born at the beginning of the processional age of Pisces. So processional ages last 2,160 years approximately. But again, time has been
Mm-hmm.
manipulated. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's a little more. We're literally missing 200 years. I proved that in my recent book. They deleted 200 years because the math didn't work out. So they thought, okay, well, we'll just delete 200 years and move on with the calendar. So when you go into all these different calendars and see, okay, 200 years there, 2 weeks there, does anybody really know what time it is? And that's a chapter in my book after the Chicago song. So Jesus said he's coming back at the end of this age, which is the age of Pisces. And we are right now transitioning between the end of the age of Pisces and the beginning of the age of Aquarius. And when ages transition, they kind of overlap, very similar to like the sun coming up in the morning. There's an hour before dawn and it gets light and you see all the different colors, but the sun isn't exactly up on the horizon yet. That's where we're at.
So, the second coming of Christ, is it going to be as depicted in the Bible? Will the dead rise to meet the Savior? And will this be the beginning of the 1,000 years peace? Or is this all just conjecture? Is it part of a storyline in order to try and keep us all in order, as religion has done throughout the centuries, try to control people?
Well, those are really great questions, Rob, and I answer all of them in my books, especially book 2, Who is God? So religion and a relationship with the Creator are two different things. Sometimes they're the same, but what religion was trying to do was what you said, keep us all in line. What the Word of God, the Spirit of God, what everyone is invited into is an intimate daily relationship with the living God through spirit. So like the natives called him Great Spirit, and they even had names for Great Spirit, which I connect was the name of the ancient God of Israel, Yahuwah.
All right, now we have to do this again. We have to take our final break. Please stand by. Exo Nation.
No problem.
LeBain is our special guest. Her website is who's who in the cosmiczoo.com. And we'll be back as we wrap up this hour and tonight's show here in the X Zone. And if you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, on all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV. And you're listening to us on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and of course throughout the province of Ontario on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, CFAJ AM, streaming at classic1220.ca.
I'm a ghost you can't see. If I could read your mind, love, what a tale your thoughts could tell. Just like a paperback novel, the kind of drugstore sells.
I should laugh, but I cry, because your love has passed me by. You took me by surprise. You didn't realize that I was waiting. Time goes slowly, but carries on, and now the best years have come and gone. You took me by surprise. I didn't realize that you were laughing. Cause you're doing to me everything the way it should be. You took away everything I had, you put the hurt on me.
And welcome back, everyone. A couple of notes here. The X Chronicles newspaper for October is still available at www.xchronicles.net. The November one will be up and posted for all of you subscribers and everyone who wants to read it on, let me see, Craig was saying the 17th, November 17th. And also, if you'd like to listen to the X Zone radio channel 24/7, 365, it's www.xzbn.net, and we'll be playing all of the shows that we've produced over the years. Kevin Randall, Dr. Bernie Beitman, let me see, Dr. Oh my gosh, I forget her name. How awful of me. Roberta Grimes is there, Diana Carroll is there, Gwilda Wiecker is there, we're there. All these great people who have been on the X Zone Broadcast Network over the years, as well as some great old-time radio shows. That's at www.xzbn.net. Our guest this hour is Ella LeBain, and I must tell you, Ella, you've done so much great work, and thank you for what you've done.
Oh, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, good to be here. I love your music, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool.
When we talk about the Bible, you're right. There are so many different camps, different people look at the Bible different ways, and it seems today that people seem to be walking away from the Bible. We're seeing the decreased numbers in churches, synagogues, mosques. Do you think people will finally clue in one day that, hey, the information's been right here in front of you all these years, and yet nobody's really understood what it's meant? And I think this is what you're doing. You're showing people how to connect the dots.
Yes, that's my humble attempt. And that is part of the end time prophecy, what you just said. About the apostasy, the falling away. And there's good reason for it, because the religions have been manipulated by the aliens. And I prove this, I expound on this, that there's this Machiavellian agenda to keep us divided, and that we there's one race that lives on Earth, and that's the human race.
Right.
We may have different languages, cultures, and ethnicities, but we are still all one race. And that's an important piece to know and to have and to realize going through the end times, because of the alien presence. So we're going to see some stuff, and people are already seeing it. And why this is up and this is the conversation is because, the aliens have been revealing themselves. And even though the Galactic Federation told Enmeshed in 2020 that we weren't ready for their reveal, a lot of it has to do with where we're at. Okay. And we have to somehow, get connected. We are powerful when we are united, when we are together, and we have to see that we're not the enemy, that there is an outside force that wants to keep us divided, to keep us away from having that power. They are fighting not only over us, they're fighting over control of the planet. And we are not the top of the food chain. They see us as a source, a food source. And I'm not just talking physical food, mainly soul and memory. And this is the stuff that's in the alien abduction material written by the doctors. And people that from all over the world have had these experiences, and they don't know each other, but yet it's the same story over and over again. So this is where the Bible comes in, because it gives us kind of a roadmap about, the health of the soul.
Right.
And the soul is created by the Creator God, and these aliens can't create souls. They can create bodies, they can steal memories, they can steal memories from me or from you and put it in a hybrid body. It's artificial, it's not real.
Well,
we have the real thing. God created us with a soul.
Let me ask you this question. If God is all powerful, if God is the creator, why doesn't he just annihilate the negative aliens? Why is he allowing this agenda to go forth?
That's a great question. Well, because it has to do with freedom. And people, he gave everyone freedom to choose, freedom, free will.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want, if he wanted everyone to just fall in line, we might as well just have created robots.
Let me give you this example, okay? I'm a dad. If I see my child doing something wrong, I'll tell them not to do it. If they experience it, they should know that they shouldn't do it again. But no matter what, I would not let anyone or anything harm my children. Now, if I am the true child of God, as I believe we all are, why would he allow us, free will or not, why would he allow us to be subjected to the atrocities and the evil that is going to become all on this planet because of the aliens? That makes no sense to me.
Well, that's a great question. I unpack it in my books. We don't have enough time to really delve into it. But suffice to say that there were ancient curses that were doled out that we're all operating under. And when the Messiah returns, all those curses are going to be lifted. And there will, one of the things in the ancient records was that human beings used to live to be 900 and 1,000 years old. We're lucky if we live to be in our 80s or 90s. The telomeres go up to 120. So when he returns for the millennial reign on Earth, which is the age of Aquarius, human beings will live to be 1,000 years old again.
There goes the health system.
That's a curse that we're all living under. The aging, the disease, the sickness, all this stuff has to do with ancient stuff. And we can't understand it all in one gulp, but that's the purpose of reincarnation. That's the purpose of the evolution of the soul, is to find this path back to the Creator God. And everyone gets to choose. So it's not put upon you. The religions took it upon themselves to kind of, be that controlling piece on earth and get everybody in line.
Wasn't that because there was no law, there was no justice, there was no right, there was no wrong, that somebody had to decide, like Moses, the Ten Commandments, these are the laws, because this is what society needs in order to grow, in order to proceed. We need laws because, this is what it is. And whether it's the book of, the Ten Commandments, whether it's the Criminal Code of Canada, whether it's whatever you want to use, we need laws. And this goes back to my question that if God is the God of gods and the creator, and he has the ability to just wipe his hand and all the evil is gone, we would not need these law books. But because he has given us free will, which I don't understand why the hell he ever did that, because that really screwed us, he doesn't. He
hasn't yet. So the quintessential end time prophecy is that, okay, where he returns and it ends with a breath and a word. That just hasn't happened yet, because all this stuff has to play out for a higher purpose. So this isn't just about us. It's about these other beings, call them gods or angels or ETs or regents or princes or principalities. There's multi-layered in this cosmic zoo. It's not just about us. And the fact that we have this life where we get to choose, there's consequences. If your child rebels against you after you've told them time and time again not to do that, and then they do it anyway, then you're left with, well, you either have to punish them even harder or let them go, or let them figure it out on their own until they finally realize, okay, and some things is just about that. This is a rebellion against the Creator God of all these different factions. Call them fallen angels, call them demons. There's all these names for them. And there's two kingdoms. There's the kingdom of heaven, and then there's this kingdom of the draconian, reptilian, alien presence on earth. And there's a false light. They have the ability to masquerade as light, as angels, as space brothers, as benevolent. There was a show back, it was called V. It's talk about truth is stranger than fiction. I recommend everybody go look that up, especially the one that was done on ABC in 2010 and 2011. That hits home. That is what we're dealing with. And that's why there's so much confusion. And a lot of it has to do with this ancient rebellion against the Creator God. So when people come back into right relationship with the Creator God, he protects you from these negative aliens. So that's been my journey, because I started out that way and then found the Lord, but not in religion. Okay, this is experiential, this is relational. And yes, I respect different religious this and religious that. I'm not religious. Okay, I wouldn't even claim to be, but I am spiritual. And that's where we relate. We can relate through this other sense, this other dimension, which is very real and sometimes creates the things that we can see, touch, and feel.
Ella, the time has come when I must say so long, my friend. I want to thank you ever so much for coming on the show.
My pleasure,
Great,
Rob.
great topic, and I wish you continued success. And I really do look
Thank
forward
you
to
very
the next
much.
time that you and I meet here in the X Zone. So until then, take care of yourself, and thanks for all you do.
Thank you, Rob. God bless you.
God bless you too, dear. All right, Exo Nation, that's it for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 o'clock as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And as you all know, we're here Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. until midnight on the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, and throughout Ontario on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ AM, who stream us. They really do stream us around the world on classic1220.ca. So, from everyone here to everyone out there, thank you for sharing your time with us, and always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.